I'm brave.
I'm blonde.
We got this. Hey y'all, I'm Kimberly Warner, mama of two, lover of shoes, and serial entrepreneur. I've dedicated my life to helping women succeed in business by just being themselves. But the path isn't always easy. I was targeted for having an authentic opinion on something that happened to my town, to my businesses. I was attacked for publicly speaking my beliefs, and then I was reduced to a cliche. Aggressively blonde, too dumb to know what I'm talking about. This is why your husband left you. After these attacks, I spent 9 days in bed, debilitated by fear, until I pulled myself up by my big girl pants and chose to lean into my fear and not be silenced by it. This podcast is for everyone who has experienced fear or regret. You will learn how others like me have risen from the ashes and are better for it. Here we go. Hey y'all, welcome to the second episode of Fearlessly Authentique by Kimberly Warner. We're so happy you're here, and I am super overjoyed to welcome my co-host, Eddie Polenzani.
A fellow blonde.
A fellow blonde. This is true.
This is the perfect episode for me to be introduced on. No?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. We're just like getting into this whole podcast thing, and so I was like, Eddie, like, I need your humor and I need your like wit, and also you have to like write a rap. I've been giving him a lot of rules
Can you
to the
please,
game.
like, write everything I say, and also all the jokes and everything else, please. Just
seriously, if ever I'm funny, Eddie wrote it. Just saying.
Not true. Not true.
Kind of true. Also, people might not know how adorably cute you are. Yes, as he smiles. See, now we don't have video. We don't have like a YouTube situation, but if we do,
Not yet.
We will. But he's super adorable and has the most wonderful girlfriend in the world.
Right. See, that's why I'm wondering. You start with he's super adorable, but I'm taken. You got to follow it up with that, you know?
Of course you're taken, but that doesn't
you tease
mean...
the people, and then, sorry.
But that doesn't mean
He's
you're
not
not
available.
adorable. You're adorable. I love it.
Well, I appreciate it. So are you, Kimberly. So are you.
Oh, thank you. Eddie and I met, how long ago?
When was it that you came on the radio station?
Maybe
that was
2 years ago, give or take?
2 or 3.
Something like
2
that?
or 3 years, yeah.
Has it been that long? It was before...
Maybe 2.5.
Yeah, okay.
It'll probably be 3 years this Christmas. Not that the specifics matter, but something like that. Because I want to say that I met you right before I met Annalise, my girlfriend, and that was like January.
Right.
And we met around Christmas time. You came on the radio station. You were plugging Authentique. You brought little goodies for Tom and Emily.
Yes,
and
gifts. Yeah. And then you came to the store and bought gifts for your mom and your sister that Christmas. So I think you're right. I think
I've gotten a gift at Authentique every Christmas.
Yay.
Since I met you for someone.
Good.
One year was my sister. 1 year was my mom. I think... Yeah, last year I got one for my girlfriend's dad, the beer branding iron, as I call it.
Oh, yeah. Good.
He loved it.
This is great because now I'm paying you back for all the gifts you bought from my store.
I guess, if you want to put it that way.
I'm teasing. We are having so much fun because we are doing the podcast in my closet.
Well, you're in the closet.
I'm in the closet.
You look like you're having a lot more fun than me.
So I'm around all the clothes that don't fit me anymore. Thank you, COVID. But at least I'm drinking wine out of my Watch Out World, I'm Fearlessly Authentique mug. All right, well, we're here. This is the second episode. We're really going to actually talk about something substantial. Here's what came to my mind this week. So as I've said multiple times now, I'm sitting in my closet among a whole bunch of clothes that are too tight for me. Thank you, COVID. And I feel like a lot of people are probably also in my same situation. Today, I also did a photo shoot for a book called The No. It's going to be launching in Milwaukee, and it's a female entrepreneur book, and it features like the women to know and business women and that sort of thing in big cities, Scottsdale and Chicago and New York and all of that. So they're coming to Milwaukee this November. It launches November 12th. So I'm super excited about that. But as I was doing this photo shoot, I kept saying to the girl, oh, get my good side, and can you crop out half my face so it's like not so fat? And she's like, you need to love yourself, girl. Like, this is who you are. This is your message. And I was like, whoa. It was almost like being hit by a ton of bricks because here I am, right? I'm preaching love thyself and empower women and be who you are and be authentic. And yet all day I was apologizing for how I've gained 15 pounds during COVID and I drink every day and I eat a lot of crappy food, which we just ordered some food and the doorbell probably rang during the podcast. What did we order? Noodles?
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't call noodles crappy food.
You got the zucchini noodles, Eddie. I got the regular, like full-fledged, like pad thai noodles.
That is true. They're green, so they're extra healthy.
You had no carbs. You have no carbs in yours. So, I mean, you're way healthier. That's why you're skinnier than me. So, okay.
Regardless, I think everyone can relate to the theme of eating and overindulging on the junk food a little more, don't you think? During these months.
For sure. And I feel like the hardest part about this whole pandemic is in my lifetime, I've never been through anything like this. And I know you haven't either.
No.
And so I've heard from a lot of people like, oh, I'm drinking more, I'm eating more, I don't want to go out, so I'm getting DoorDash. Like I said on my first podcast, I probably have more DoorDash charges on my credit card than anything else because I don't want to go grocery shopping and it's easy, but it's not necessarily healthy to eat that way every day. And I do know that suicide rates are up since March 2020.
Yeah, I did hear that. I don't know the stats, but I did hear that.
It looks like the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have a 24-hour helpline, by the way. It's 1-800-950-6264. But they were saying that the relapse and overdose rate has increased by 30%.
Wow.
Since March. So relapsing back into old bad ways and suicidal.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really depressing. I mean, you can't go out of your house, number one. If you can go out of your house, you have to be scared. Then you're going places and you can't go with all of your friends. You can only go with like a quarter of your friends. And I don't know, it's hard to even describe, but I know everyone feels the same way that we feel.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think helped me, at least personally, get through this is remembering that I am not on an island through all of this. Like, these feelings are not unique to me. The term that I read about was called selfing. Sometimes people self too much. They say, the problems that are plaguing you, while they might be legitimate, feel upset about them. There's nothing wrong with feeling upset, but don't let it take you down that spiral of, oh my God, woe is me. You're not the center of the universe, believe it or not. You're selfing too much. Everyone is suffering from this in one way or another. And that sucks, but in a way, it kind of helps you remember that you're not alone. Right.
But the thing is, I don't feel like people are reaching out to other people because it's hard for me to say like, oh, hey, Susie Q, my good friend, I've been drinking every day since March 15th, and I've gained 20 pounds and none of my clothes fit and I cry almost every day and I'm super depressed and I'm trying to like pull myself out of the trenches and do my job and be inspirational and run my businesses and still make money and pay my bills, and because a lot of people can't. And so then you almost feel guilty, like if you're in a good place and you're doing okay and people are like, how is your business? Are you doing okay? And it's like, ooh, I almost feel guilty. Like I don't want to say.
I wish I was doing worse.
Yeah.
Just so I can relate more.
Because I don't want to feel bad. And I don't, because I know other people have it way worse than I have it. So then I feel like none of us are talking about it together. And then that's where I feel like the depression and, some of these increased rates of, alcohol. I would love to know alcohol, like, purchases in the United States. I mean, it has to be up like 300%. I'm just saying. That's not a true fact, but I'm thinking it's around there. It's definitely triple digits.
If it's not up that high, then that's only because marijuana was legalized in Illinois. So yes. Maybe those are kind of outweighing the alcohol sales.
Could be.
And the IL side, maybe. Who knows?
For sure. Though? Yeah, for sure. But in Wisconsin, I swear, sometimes I go to the liquor store and they are out of Tito's. And I'm like, I'm sorry, how are you out of Tito's? Is that a thing?
It's a good vodka.
It is, but I mean, like, how are they out of it? Because so many people are drinking more. So Yeah, I am going to talk a little bit about the depression situation with me and some of my history and how I got my butt out of bed, which we talked about a little bit in the last episode. And then Eddie's going to weigh in on the male side, and he's going to talk about something a little bit unique that I didn't even think of when I thought pandemic. But it is the reason why Eddie is here working with me today, so I'm super excited about it. I'm also super excited about one of my newest friends, who is also one of our sponsors here on Fearlessly Authentique. And also, she is one of our vendors in my store, Authentique, downtown Kenosha, Wisconsin. And it is a Wisconsin-based, women-owned company, and it is called Pure Love Essences. This is my friend, Jody. She's amazing. She spent like 17 years doing marketing for financial companies. And then one day she got into her kitchen and she just like wanted to create like the perfect perfume for herself. She was really concerned about natural and, vegan and eco-friendly and ethically sourced and all that good stuff. And so she created her own brand, her own perfume, her own, cologne spray and oil roll-on type situation. And what happened after that was everywhere she went, people followed her. They were like, "What are you wearing?" She calls it the catnip of fragrance. I love that saying, catnip, because, it's like irresistible. So when I wear it, people follow me around in Costco, no lie. And they're like, "I'm sorry, I've been following you around for like 4 aisles. I just want to know what you're wearing." And what I'm wearing is her Moroccan scent. Pure Love Essences has 3 scents. They are all sort of unisex, but the original is boho, has a little bit of undertones of patchouli. Then we have the Moroccan, which has little undertones of coconut. It's super beachy and lovely. And then there's Rebel, which is for men, and it's leathery and it's sexy and it's hot, and you definitely want to get it for your man. And we are coming upon the Christmas season, so check out pureloveessences.com. Use the coupon code FA20 and receive 20% off all orders of $52 or more. You can also find them at Authentique in Kenosha, Wisconsin. 625 57th Street is Authentique. And also, you can find it online at AuthentiqueGifts.com. But if you want to take advantage of 20% off, which you do, you want to go to pureloveessences.com and use coupon code FA20. You are going to love this natural, amazing scent. Please check out my friend Jody. She's amazing. Love this woman, local, and also just a really decent, beautiful human being. pureloveessences.com.
Rolling. Keep rolling. This podcast keeps rolling.
This is really hard to do a podcast because you're so funny.
We're keeping all this in, right?
I know, right? For sure. The humor has arrived.
Stop. You make me sound like I'm a comedic genius. I'm just an idiot.
So am I.
Maybe that's why we enjoy this.
I know. We have so much fun. Hopefully people want to listen to us being idiots. I'm brave, I'm blonde, and I got this. All right, why?
Not as clean as the first time.
Not as clean as the first time, but why did we decide to name the podcast this?
Because we're both blonde.
Well, okay, that's part of it. But also, so last night I was watching the movie, so y'all may know Amy Schumer. Is that how I say her last name?
Yeah,
Schumer? I said it right.
Schumer,
Amy
yep.
Schumer. Okay. And she has this awesome movie, and it's called I Feel Pretty.
I've never heard of this movie before.
I cannot believe you've never heard of this movie.
Would you
It
define
is so
it
funny.
as a chick flick? Is it a chick flick?
I mean, Steve, you've watched it like 47 times with me. Is it a chick flick? Oh, he's saying totally.
Well, there you go.
Okay, I would have said no.
I like Amy Schumer, though.
It's very funny.
I just like good movies. I'm not opposed to watching a chick flick. It's just that Annalise, my girlfriend, she's not really even the chick flick type. So I don't really have an opportunity to be exposed to them.
Well, I showed you a few clips at lunch today. What did you think?
I got the vibe, like without having seen the movie, just based on the clips you showed me, I feel like I saw the whole thing. Well, maybe not.
Shut up.
Okay, maybe not in a bad way.
Okay.
But like I get what the story is about. I could predict what her character arc is gonna be, and that's not a bad thing. And plus, you're talking to someone that like
is a movie geek,
genuinely enjoys watching and talking about story structure and stuff. Like I will nitpick a movie's plot just for fun.
Yes, I know this about you.
Predictability is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the reason why stories are repeated or story arcs are repeated is because they work. So I feel like I could see where that movie's going. I would watch it.
Right. Well, you're going to have to. I'm going to make it like your homework or something. But anyway.
I did make you watch Die Hard.
I was just going to say that's how I know you pick apart movies because you picked Die Hard apart and then told me to.
Watched it.
And I did, and I loved it. I thought it was great. And so this is one of the movies that I feel like right now in this pandemic, everybody needs to watch and or rewatch. And Amy Schumer should probably be on my podcast. I doubt that's going to happen.
Maybe.
I doubt she's going to like trot in here into my closet and be like, hey.
Kimberly, we got a surprise for you.
What's up?
Come on out, Amy.
Yeah. Don't scare me like that.
Amy?
She's the best. I love her.
Amy couldn't make it.
No, she couldn't make it.
Her flight got delayed because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
I don't know.
Anyway, the inspiration came from the movie because she wanted to be something she wasn't. And she wished upon it. She went to a spin class, fell off the spin bike, hit her head, lost half of her ponytail. I love that part. I looked in the mirror and she saw herself beautiful and whatever. So it's kind of like Shallow Hal, but not. Kind of like Big,
so she
but not.
gained confidence via amnesia. Via concussion.
Yes.
So if you want to gain confidence, moral of the story, get a concussion.
Go to SoulCycle and fall off the bike.
Nah, but
Okay. All right. But so the thing is, like, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, so I'm in this pandemic. I haven't been able to do the things I normally do. I haven't been able to dress up and go anywhere. And even if I did, my clothes are too tight and I'm feeling very down on myself. And then I realized, like, maybe I should just look in the mirror and start doing the Stuart Smalley thing, like I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
People like me.
And the thing is, people do like me, actually. I've gotten like a lot of likes, a lot of nice messages since the first, I know, can you believe it? The first podcast, people were very, very kind and generous, and they were rating, and they were commenting, and they were subscribing, and so I feel like people probably like me. And we are all so much harder on ourselves, right, than we are on other people.
Always.
And especially during something like this where we can't do like our normal stuff. And so I feel like you had a really interesting experience, Eddie. And it's not necessarily male or female, but it's something that I didn't even think of pandemic-wise until you told me the story. And so let's tell everyone about that, or let's tell the story.
You probably didn't think of this because you were lucky enough to more or less keep going as far as your business goes. I mean, you had to adapt a bit and do different things.
Sure, yeah. We thought outside of the box and we've got great customers, great followers, and they really helped us out. But we definitely had to think outside the box. But a different situation, and that I don't get a check every week from a corporation.
True, yes. So, and I'm not the only one that has a story like this, but I can imagine that a lot of people would relate to this. I lost the job that I had it would have been 6 years this month, October. It would have been 6 years at the radio station that I worked for, where I met you, because you filled in on the morning show that I was a part of. And
you were amazing at it, by the way.
We had a great time filling in together, didn't we?
Well, we had a great time, and the reason that you're here right now is because I thought your talent was like just incredible, and the gifts that you have. No, he has got. I mean, these people are going to find out how amazing you are. You have so many gifts, and you're very intelligent, and you know bigger words than I do. You can also like pull a rap out of your butt in like 2 seconds, which I think is very cool. But you have way more experience than I do on a microphone. I just like a microphone.
Well, you're doing just fine.
It's a thing, but
if it means anything.
Your job was like you were like a main host, and it was like 6 years, and you were like the part of the show. I mean,
it was a big part of my identity. Yeah, not to get too sidetracked, but yeah, I mean, when you work at a place, wherever it is, I mean, for me, it was this radio station, but I mean, if you work somewhere long enough, it becomes a part of who you are, and to suddenly have that go away, not on your own terms, mind you, is crazy. Like, 'cause don't get me wrong, I figured I would probably get a different job someday. Like, I never saw myself as being where I was forever. If that was the case, then I really wouldn't grow much as a person, would I?
Right. And I don't think anybody is in any, if you're in a job and you just want to stay stagnant and you're like, this is cool, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
but
no judgment. But
no.
I knew I wanted to do other things, but I would have preferred it be on my terms.
Sure.
Not because of what happened with, a global pandemic and being told, we can no longer afford to keep you on payroll. Sorry, and
right.
It's no hard feelings. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, in that I'm not on an island with this because, they did what they had to do to keep going. The company that owned the radio station, they had to I was not the only one let go.
Right.
And this is happening everywhere. And I think that's what helped me get through it, because I was depressed. This is a part of my life. And, there was at least a month, maybe 2 months, where I'd wake up like, well, what the hell do I do now?
Right.
What am I going to do today? Maybe I'll go on a run. I did a lot of running.
Yeah, you've lost weight. You look great.
That was it. Oh, well, thank you.
I gained weight. You lost weight.
I'm going to put it on working with you.
I know. I make him drink every day. I'm like, okay, it's lunchtime. It's time for a cocktail.
Time for more fried food.
Yeah, right.
Right.
No. But one piece I want to bring up about this whole situation for you is that before you were let go, you were kind of like, you were furloughed, right? So it was a little bit of a unknown situation for several weeks. And I think probably that was harder than anything else, right? Or
yeah, I'd say you're onto something there, because being furloughed was kind of like being in limbo.
Right.
They made it seem like, we'll bring you back as soon as things get back to normal. But it's like, okay, when's that?
Right.
I don't think anyone knows when that is. We're still not back to normal.
No, but I don't think anyone thought it would last this long.
I mean,
I really don't.
Maybe people assumed it'd be done quick. I kind of had a feeling it would go on longer.
You did?
Yeah, well, I listened to different podcasts. Like Joe Rogan does a great show. He had a disease expert on early on when this all started, and I can't remember. I'm sure if you Google it or YouTubed it, you'll find it.
Steve loves him. You listen to Steve. You listen to Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he loves him.
Maybe Steve remembers this episode, but he had a guest on that said, if you think this is going to be over quick, like, think again. This is going to go on for a long time. And it is. And I kind of forget what the main point was. You still didn't want to
believe it, though. I didn't want to believe it.
Well, yeah, it's almost like the furlough thing. Thank you. That kind of brought me back. You would rather just know right now one way or the other, because it's like, okay, do I go out and look for a new job? Do I hope for things to get better? What am I doing here? I'm just sitting here in limbo and
waiting. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I can't run all day. the extra running in my life was great, but the kind of the natural high you get from exercise only lasts maybe a couple hours,
and it definitely does not pay the cable bill.
And time to crack a beer now until I go to sleep, and then I'll get up and I'll run some more. And I'm the type of person, which you've probably picked up on, and I think you're kind of like this too. I kind of need an object to focus on, to harness my focus. I'm like a shark in that way. I got to have something. I can't, too much time with nothing left alone in my own head.
Right.
And this is something a lot of people with anxiety and depression can relate to, I'm sure.
Yes.
Too much time left alone in here.
Yeah.
Inside your own head is the worst.
Right.
It's the worst, because
it's
then
a spiral.
Neutral time is almost worse than bad time, because if that makes sense.
It does.
Because if something negative is happening, at least then you can identify it, like, okay, this sucks, but I'll get over it. But just like nothing, just like normalcy. And if you're an overthinker like me, then you got time in your head to spin these narratives that can just take you a million different directions.
Down a rabbit hole.
And
what's that saying about devil's hands, or idle hands, or the devil's something or other?
That's a great saying.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The devil something or other. I think.
What's the saying, Steve? Come on.
Socrates said that.
Shut up. Now you're making me sound super
No.
blonde. Okay, my blonde is showing.
This is the blonde episode,
Okay,
Kimberly.
all right. It is. I'm brave, I'm blonde, and I
got this.
But it is true when you have too much time or too much,
Idle time.
Yeah. And then you start thinking about, well, is it me? What am I doing wrong?
Right. You create narratives. That's and I learned more about this. I learned a lot about meditation during this time, which was another plus.
Yeah, you told me that.
That was something that helped me get through this. But yeah, that's a phrase I saw over and over was narratives. You start telling yourself narratives instead of looking at a situation for what it is. And I think when people start practicing that more, like mindfulness, it helps get through times like this. And I realized I went off in a million different directions probably in this past 10 minutes.
Well, we're both sort of ADD, like, look, there's a squirrel. I think what you were saying, Eddie, is totally right. And when you have these narratives in your head, you also then, and so for women, I feel like we have a lot of holes where we feel like we need to fill these holes with something. So I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough house cleaner. I don't contribute enough to the finances. I don't. As all these holes, need to be filled. And so you're talking about mindfulness, and that's a lot of times. So I've been to many counselors. Go figure, me.
Hey, there's no shame. Everyone should see a counselor.
No,
I
for
honestly
sure.
believe that.
But I've been to so many because, like, sometimes I go, and one reminded me one time of my ex-mother-in-law, and I was like, peace out.
Too many bad vibes coming there.
Yeah, well, I didn't really ever like her, so that was part of the story. But, and then there was, you're looking at me like that was a bad thing to say, but it's totally true. I never liked my mother-in-law. She's heard this before. I've said it on stage in front of 4,000 people. But anyway, she's my ex-mother-in-law now, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, peace out.
But you really have to connect with a therapist. And so I did. I found someone great. And then COVID happened. And then it was like this virtual situation. And it didn't work for me. It was really hard to talk through some of the stuff that depressed minds go through and anxious minds go through virtually. So then, you come to the point of like, oh, I should read a self-help book and maybe that'll help. Have you read any like mindfulness books that I know you did the
meditation?
Yeah, meditation. Did you read a book, right? Or?
Yes. Yeah. I read a book called Mindfulness for Beginners. I could tell you the author's name in just a second here.
Yeah. And I know you were telling me some things about it. And I thought...
Jon Kabat-Zinn. I hope I'm saying that right. Kabat. Jon Kabat-Zinn is the author. It's called Mindfulness for Beginners. It's a good read.
Yeah.
You can kind of read it at your own pace. It's not... the chapters aren't super lengthy. They're pretty short chapters, if you could even call them that. Like a couple paragraphs at a time, so you can kind of put it down and pick it up at your own pace. And it's not written into... not too much jargon, I guess. It's called For Beginners for a reason. You could understand what he's talking about with the concepts, yeah.
Because I realized that I think I had started reading that same book.
Oh, did you?
Well, remember we talked about it. I'm like, I think I've read that same book.
Okay. Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah.
I have a hard time with the calming my mind down, like, because it's a hamster wheel. And so, like, when you go to yoga and then you have to lay down and do the, like, savasana or whatever that part is called, everyone's going to correct me on that part, whatever it is, where you have to lay down with, like, the blanket in the dark and, like, have, like, a quiet mind. I'm like, I got to get the F out of here. Like, I got so much shit to do.
Yeah.
So I don't do really well with that. And so that's where I need more of meditation. I need more of the yoga.
It's tough, but no one is ever great at it. I think people quit because they think, oh, I'm such a bad meditator. I can't calm my mind or I can't clear my mind. But it's not really about clearing your mind. It's about being aware of what's happening in your mind and then just kind of bringing it back to whatever it is you were focusing on. It's just the object of your attention is not so much important as the awareness of it.
Yeah, and that was really hard for me because you told me that too, and I was like, okay, I'm trying really hard not to think about anything.
Well, it's like if I tell you don't think about polar bears, what are you going to think about?
Polar bears, for sure. You tell me not to think about anything, I'm going to think about everything but and then I would be like, think about nothing.
You can't think
was
about
hard.
nothing.
It's
not a
really
thing.
hard. Yeah. It's a practice, though. They call it a practice for a reason, just like they call yoga a practice and all that. So I think that to end today's episode, first of all, thank you, Eddie.
Well, thank you, Kimberly.
For being the co-host, who's way wittier and probably way funnier and also way cuter than me.
You're being down on yourself right now.
See?
What
Okay.
are you doing? What are you doing?
Right. Okay. I am brave. I am blonde. And I got this.
You got this.
But I am going to end with telling everyone one of my favorite books that isn't as cerebral as maybe all of the ones out there before. And I've shared this with my team of 20,000 direct selling women before. And it's a Simon Sinek. I love Simon Sinek. If you've never listened to TED Talks, I think I talked about Brene Brown last week. I'm going to talk about Simon Sinek this week. I love TED Talks. I'm a geek. I map them out. I think they're great. But Simon Sinek is one of the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life. And he has so many TED Talks that have inspired me in so many ways. But he wrote this book. It's called Together is Better, a little book of inspiration. Now, what does this book look like to you when you look at it from across the room, Eddie?
It looks like a children's book.
It does look like a children's book, doesn't it? And it even has, here's the best part, one of the first pages is smelly.
You know, Toad and Frog?
I love Toad and Frog.
The artwork reminds me of Toad and Frog.
Yes! Frog, I'm going to make cookies today. Okay, said Toad. Do you know how many times I read that to Jack Lloyd? 1,000,000.
They were classics.
For sure. But so one of the beginning pages is literally scented. Like you can smell it. Whoa, gosh, it's so great. Infused with scent, the smell of optimism to be exact. It was designed to set the tone to evoke a feeling that will prepare you for the journey on which you are about to embark. So right now, I'm embarking on this new journey called a podcast, and everybody out there is about to embark on a new journey because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with the pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with, the election. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with the economy. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Got to take advantage of today. So I'm just going to, this is one of my favorite pages in this book, so we're going to end on this quote. It's actually an Aristotle quote, but we criticize ourselves, right? And I talk about how my clothes don't fit. And, you were talking about how you get down on yourself because you didn't have a job. You didn't know, what am I going to do today? I can only run so much and blah, blah, blah. And I think everyone's feeling down and we got to get up and positive. But there's only one way to avoid criticism, and it's to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. I don't think our mission in this life right now is to avoid criticism. I think our mission in this life is to do anything, say anything, and be anything that you want to be. And so I really just feel like ending this podcast on a happy note. And it's like, I am brave.
I am blonde.
And I got this.
Can I sniff the book now?
Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, yeah.
Thank you for listening to Fearlessly Authentic. My mom hopes this episode empowered you to be fearless. Please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Share, rate, and comment because my mom wants to hear all of your feedback. Contact her directly at fearless@fearlesslyauthentic.com. Hosted and executive produced by my mom, Kimberly Warner, produced and mixed by Steve Hawkins, and co-hosted by Eddie Polenzani. Connect with us on social media via fearlesslyauthentic.com. Copyright Fearlessly Authentic 2020.